Whether it was locally based or in a foreign land, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security sought to provide employment opportunities and a proper social welfare system for Jamaicans last year.
I'm on the mission. A mission. Today is the day. Start your ignition. Let's take it away. All the way to the top. We gotta rise. Gotta rise. Gotta rise. We gotta rise.
A mere 10 months after being appointed to direct the affairs of the Labor and Social Security Ministry, Minister Derek Kelly had to respond to welfare needs after a Category 1 hurricane made landfall. Hurricane Sandy caused extensive damage to the housing stock in eastern parishes, and the ministry was in charge of assessing the full impact.
The Ministry of Labor and Social Security has advised that, based on preliminary estimates, over 4,000 homes have been damaged by the passage of Sandy. The most severe damage was concentrated in the parishes of St. Thomas, Portland, and St. Mary.
Ministry teams assessed about 16,000 persons, and from that exercise, the state meticulously implemented a support system for the victims. More than 5,000 persons were issued checks ranging from $30,000 to $60,000 to repair damage to their homes. The Labor Ministry's work also supplied the beneficiary list for the reconstruction of some 500 homes. Back to the beginning. Long before Sandy and shortly after taking office, Minister Derek Kelly and his team began the hunt for job opportunities. The various consultations paid off later in the year as one of the biggest employment programs of 2012 became a reality. 40,000 Jamaicans are set to find work through an initiative between the government and the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, the JCC. The Labor Ministry and the JCC signed a Memorandum of Understanding for the Jamaica Employ Initiative in September. The ministry, along with the JCC, placed the workers in various areas of the private sector, such as the automotive and insurance industry.
The first 3 months of this workforce intervention program, they are paid a salary of $6,000 per week by the ministry, while for the remaining 3 months, their salaries are to be paid by the participating private sector organization.
But before that momentous occasion, the Labor Ministry was pounding the pavement in other job markets.
13,000 workers will be participating in the Canadian and US program.
That announcement came in the minister's sectoral presentation in July. The number of skilled workers traveling to Canada grew, with 105 trailer drivers, about 50 mechanics and 4 welders securing jobs in that country. Meanwhile, about 25 Jamaicans were recruited to work in the United States. While it secured jobs overseas, the ministry worked to protect workers in the country. During 2012, the Labor and Social Security Ministry successfully brought a bill to Parliament to amend the National Insurance Act. Parliament approved an increase in the pension and benefits payments to special pensioners from $1,200 to $1,400 per week. The basic rate paid to old age, invalidity, and widow or widower's pension increased from $2,400 to $2,800, while the basic rate paid to special children and orphan beneficiaries moved from $4,200 to $4,900 per week. The insurable wage contribution ceiling was also raised, while the weekly contribution rate for some groups was increased. The changes were based on an actuarial review of the National Insurance Scheme.
To ensure the long-term sustainability of the NIF, while continuing to provide meaningful benefits to pensioners and contributors in the face of the prevailing economic conditions.
A minimum wage increase was also introduced in 2012. The new national minimum wage of $5,000 per 40-hour workweek took effect on September 3. At the same time, industrial security guards saw their baseline pay move to $7,320.50 per 40-hour workweek. Throughout the year, some critical wage agreements were also settled. The Sugar Producers Federation and trade union groups signed an agreement in February giving sugar workers a 10.37% increase in year one of a 2-year contract. They are to get a 6% increase in year two.
This agreement is important as it demonstrates the power of negotiation and peaceful resolution to conflict.
It was signed after months of negotiations and intervention by the ministry. 2012 also witnessed the launch of an HIV in the workplace public education campaign. The minister said the campaign was necessary as HIV/AIDS was an important workplace issue that impacted significantly on production and national development. The Program of Advancement Through Health and Education PATH is the flagship social security vehicle of the ministry. To boost its capacity, the ministry signed a $30 million loan agreement with the Inter-American Development Bank in December.
100% of the resources go into the PATH program with no requirement for counterpart financing.
While we seek to expand the gains of the social protection strategy that has already been implemented, the ministry must maintain the current system to ensure their integrity.
On that note, the minister indicated that changes were coming to the way beneficiaries are selected for PATH, which supports some 410,000 persons. The Beneficiary Identification System, BIS, is to be revised. At the same time, there is to be a mandatory recertification of families who have been on PATH for more than 4 years. This process is to begin in February 2013. In the meantime, the ministry and Food for the Poor Jamaica partnered to provide 150 social housing units for persons registered on the PATH.
Social housing is a term used to define policy which provides shelter for families with modest incomes. This concept is central to the development of any comprehensive social protection system, as housing and shelter is a critical element of social justice.
Concerned about a fall-off in school attendance by students who benefit on the PATH, the ministry in September launched the School We Say campaign.
We have come again to reaffirm the commitment to education as the only true means of breaking the cycle of poverty and achieving the goals established in our development roadmap, Vision 2030.
The campaign motivated students to attend school regularly despite their social and economic challenges and was implemented through a series of island-wide school tours during the academic year. And in November, 17 students were awarded PATH tertiary scholarships totaling $16.5 million. The ministry's Steps to Work program stepped up its offerings in 2012. Officers conducted 17 summer camps with about 1,700 young people. Most of the beneficiaries were high school dropouts who were given skills training and took part in educational classes. On the Steps to Work, $42 million was also disbursed as grant funding to small business owners. This was a 100% increase over the previous year's allocation to entrepreneurs. The participants, who are in PATH households, received up to $100,000 each. More than 4,000 business owners benefited. The ministry's Social Security mandate also factored the needs of persons with disabilities in 2012. In November, Minister Kellier announced that the government had begun the process of formulating legislation for persons with disabilities. Minister Kellier said he would be pushing for the National Disabilities Bill to be tabled in Parliament in short order.
This legislation will seek to promote, protect, and facilitate full and equal fundamental rights and freedoms for persons with disabilities.
In the meantime, the ministry acquired a $2 million grant from the Japanese Policy Human Resources Development Program to support Jamaicans with disabilities. Responding to a national disaster, creating employment, securing the welfare of the vulnerable, just a few of the major achievements of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security during the year 2012.
I'm on the mission. A mission. Today is the day. Start your ignition. Let's take it away. All the way to the top. We gotta